everybody's calling you kids. Climate change is a natural phenomenon. Kids, get a grip. Kurt Michael hasn't changed that much, actually. Tell the people who bought on the last time estate as well. And if students are worried about environment, don't litter everywhere. Ori, you don't throw litter, do you?
No, I do not. I believe the fact that you're saying that it's a natural thing is complete rubbish. The fact that the climate change is a natural thing over the space of hundreds of thousands of years, when it happens within 100 years, you've got a problem. If it keeps on going at the rate it's going, we're going to have extreme weather patterns changing at ridiculous rates, and it's never going to end well.
Okay, Alice, is it true you're not on social media?
Guilty as charged.
Okay,
yes.
Can you tell me why you're not on social media?
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, in my family, perhaps my mum and my aunt, they have social media. My mum's is mainly for her business.
And that's Facebook, is it? She's
yeah,
on?
but when I see her scrolling through Facebook, I just think, I don't want that. But I know when I go to university, I'm probably going to have to get Facebook just to see what my family are doing and what's happening on the island, because I know I will miss it.
So, I mean, has there been any sort of peer pressure about getting onto social media at all? Don't you miss everyone else is on Facebook? Do you never think I'm missing something?
I do sometimes feel a bit lonely, but my friends are quite kind, so they'd make sure I was involved, even if I'm not, and I don't want to be. That's my choice. What
was the place, the Neolithic place on the Isle of Man again? What was it called?
I can't pronounce it because I don't speak Manx. It's called Castle Yned. That's it. Yeah.
I must remember that. We'll try and go there at some point.
It's worth a look.
Jolly good. Jasmine, you were hoping to go to, it's UCIOM?
Yeah, UCM, yeah.
Yeah, and what's the degree in again?
History and Heritage.
Okay. Do you think the Isle of Man makes as much of its heritage as it could?
Yeah. I mean, there could be a lot more done to it. Because obviously, like, if you're, I think it's 16 and under, you get to go in 3, to, like, with your ACE card. But I think adults on the Isle of Man don't really pay attention to heritage of the Isle of Man.
And do you go to the creek?
No, not yet, because I'm not old enough. Like,
okay,
to go
just Holly goes to the creek, is that right?
Yeah, just Holly by herself.
Oh, Holly by herself. Do you live in Peel, Holly?
Yeah.
You do. Do you think Peel's a good place?
Yeah.
It's very trendy, isn't it, Peel?
Yeah.
Didn't used to be trendy before they put the marina there, but it's...
Yeah, it's come up.
It's good now. Do you go into Douglas at all for nightlife?
Yeah, on a Saturday night usually.
Okay.
Weekly.
What do you think about Douglas at night time?
It's not as good as Peel. You just get all the weird ones out on a Saturday.
I want to talk to you about young people and drinking. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not pointing the finger at you, but do you think that alcohol is too cheap?
Sometimes. Depends what it is.
But
I'd say it needs to be more harder to access it because there's too many young kids drinking, which 18-year-olds are buying them, obviously, but I think that's really bad.
And where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that culture comes from? Where do you think that young children drinking comes from?
Honestly, don't know.
Alex?
Yeah.
Do you go to the creek?
Yeah, sometimes with Holly.
Is there a problem with underage drinking in Peel, do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. There's just a lot of kids nowadays just do drink. I don't know if it's because they don't have anything better to do, but I don't know. But I don't know how they'll get it because they're underage, unless they've got fake IDs and stuff.
Daniela, where did you say you're going to university?
Lancaster, hopefully.
Oh, well, that's a fantastic university. What are you going to read?
As in, what am I going to study?
Yeah, what you study, yeah.
Criminology.
What are you hoping to do in criminology?
Hopefully, I'd like to be a detective and go down that side of everything.
Have you been involved with police on the Isle of Man?
Yeah, I'm actually one of the police cadets on the Isle of Man.
How long have you been involved?
So the intake is every 2 years, so I'm part of the current intake since last September. So yeah, year.
And what do you have to do to in the cadets?
We cover so much. It's such a good scheme. So we're actually on Thursday going into shops and seeing actually whether we can buy alcohol and whether we're ID'd or not. and that's part of an experiment to make sure that all the shops on the island.
You just tipped all the shops off,
yeah,
by the way. Not Thursday, no.
No, next Thursday. But yeah, so we cover so much. We're actually going to the Pyrenees next August as well. That's part of our Duke of Edinburgh Gold.
Why do you think the job of the police is important then?
Because I feel like the island especially is very reliant on the police. They're, although they're just normal people, if you're in a really bad situation with the police, you feel relieved at the fact that they're there and assume that everything will be dealt with fine.
Why would you want to be a detective?
I just love the whole criminology side of everything, and why the brain
bad
works.
people?
Yes. Why people had the mental drive to commit crimes. Because I could never, take for example, murder someone. I don't get how someone could physically and mentally murder someone.
And you'd like to get to the bottom of that?
Yes.
Well, there aren't many murders on the Isle of Man, are there? So you probably end up working somewhere a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Well, actually, Lancaster's probably not the best place for criminals either. But yeah, I'd probably move to England if I wanted to pursue that.
Do you watch these programmes on television?
Yes, religiously.
Crime Scene and things like that. My word. Right, Roman, what were you hoping to do from university?
At university?
Yeah.
Well, if I get in, it'll be English and creative writing.
And where were you hoping to go?
I think it was York.
Okay. And what do you hope to do?
At university?
Afterwards.
Oh, after. Oh, I don't really know.
Oh, well, that's
I'll
good.
see. I'll find out.
It's a very healthy ambition not to know.
Yeah, well, I've just sort of, I'll see, I'll go for the next few months, and then at uni.
I was going to ask you, do you ride a bike?
No, I don't ride a bike.
Car? Got a car?
No, I don't have a car.
Okay. How do you get to school?
Bus.
Okay. Talking about booze and what have you,
Oh, yeah.
what do you think do you think alcohol is too freely available to young people?
It's too freely available to everyone. I think the problem isn't massively with young people. I think the people who are affected by alcoholism are mostly middle-aged. I'm not sure the statistics on that, I'm sorry, but yeah, I think the problem is binge drinking. I think if you have a night out, of course, terrible things can happen if you're not careful, but I think the problem is massive amounts of drinking, and I think the mental health problems that often accompany that are what need to be addressed.
Part of the cannabis debate is people say that alcohol is more dangerous than cannabis nowadays. What do you think?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
You think the Isle of Man should legalise cannabis?
Well, I'm not massively sure about how policies are put in place, but I think
Because they're talking at the moment about cannabis-based medicine and whether or not that, and of course that happens everywhere. And of course in Canada, in lots of places, cannabis is legal. The use of cannabis is legal, and the argument that's always used is cannabis isn't as bad as alcohol because you can, as you say, with binge drinking, you can ruin your life, other people's lives with it.
Oh yeah, there's been great results for those sorts of medicines. I don't know anyone personally who's had their lives ruined by cannabis. I mean, I don't know anyone personally who's had their lives ruined by alcohol, but of course.
That's Roman. We've also been talking to Emily and Ewan and Ben and Ori. We didn't get to talk about VAR. Alice and Jasmine and Holly and Alex and Daniela. And thanks to Matty, thanks to Ben Hartley on the video, Sarah Hartley, producer today. I'm Andy Wint. We've been live at QE2. Next up, it's going to be Castle Rushen High School from the students of QE2. Goodbye and thank you.